Our attorney generals have moved a mountain in getting Meta to make changes that are going to make our children safer. Is it going to be 100% a safer world at this time? No, but it is pulling, the dike is breaking, and not only for Meta, for all platforms. I mean, these attorney generals see TikTok, they see Snapchat, they're in the crosshairs of going after them also. Until we have universal safety standards that our children are safe in these digital worlds, we're going to keep fighting.
Let's talk about the story in America. And just a warning, this topic, it may be distressing to some of you listening. Meta has agreed then to pay more than $16 billion to settle this landmark child safety case. It was driven by 29 states of the United States. They accused the Instagram owner of deliberately designing platforms to be addictive to children and of improperly collecting data. Meta denies these allegations. It has, though, agreed to introduce new protections. The California Attorney General, Rob Bonta, has been speaking.
From the beginning, this case has been about protecting young people, our children, our future, online. We protect our children from so many daily dangers.
The California Attorney General, Rob Bonta. And now welcome to the programme, Laurie Schott, the mother of Anna Lee Schott, who died by suicide after consuming content on TikTok and Instagram about depression and about anxiety. Laurie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you, and sorry for your loss, Laurie. I mean, can you just sum up your feelings on hearing this news today?
I am over the moon. It is a step in the right direction to go ahead and work out a settlement in the midst of what was happening in this trial is even more evidence that we know that these platforms were doing dangerous design techniques to gain profit from our children. And for that, it's a good day.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the background where you and your family and your child were concerned? What happened there?
You know, with my daughter, she took her life at the age of 18, and that was in 2020, before we really understood as parents the design tactics of these platforms. That was before Frances Hogan came forward with the Facebook white papers and as a whistleblower. And with that being said, we found out after Anna took her life, she journaled heavily about how these social media platforms made her feel. She journaled heavily about the beautification filters and how these platforms design things to keep children engaged. And Anna Lee even saw a live suicide on social media platforms, which she discussed personally and just absolutely destroyed her mental health and who she was.
Yes, and what an awful experience. Any parent, I think anyone, could empathise with what you and your family have been through. We have, though, seen now a Meta saying that this settlement does not amount to an admission of responsibility or blame. Although it should also be said that the settlement and the terms surrounding it, the promise of a new way of doing business, you could say that is an implicit acceptance of some responsibility, couldn't you?
Absolutely, 100%. My attorney general, Phil Weiser, was one of the 4 attorney generals in the courtroom in Oakland. I was there last week making public statements. Of course it is. They don't want to hear any more of the internal information that these attorney generals were able to get their hands on. Our attorney generals have moved a mountain in getting Meta to make changes that are going to make our children safer. Is it going to be 100% a safer world at this time? No, but it is pulling, the dike is breaking, and not only for Meta, for all platforms. I mean, these attorney generals see TikTok, they see Snapchat, they're in the crosshairs of going after them also. Until we have universal safety standards that our children are safe in these digital worlds, we're going to keep fighting.
And you have been in court over this yourself, I think. Have you not? But now we've had this case. Now we've seen a promise of at least more than $16 billion being handed over to these states. Is it possible that you could receive some sort of compensation as part of this process? Or I know nothing could compensate you for your loss, but is some sort of compensation a possibility?
Not any compensation for our family in the attorney general cases like this. We do have an individual case filed in Los Angeles where the JCCP, which is what the first, social media against a plaintiff KGM was filed. But in that sense, nothing brings our children back. And I don't even understand where Anna's case would be in that situation. All we as parents care about is getting the word out and keep elevating our children's stories for change. And not only change in this world right here, but in the change of the environment in Washington, D.C.
All right, Laurie Schott, the mother of Annalise Schott, who died by suicide after consuming this content on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you, Laurie, for joining me.
No, thank you for covering this, and we'll keep swinging for all children.
We send you our very best wishes. Now let's welcome Mary Rodie. Riley Basford died after being caught up in an online sextortion scam. Mary, hello.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. Please give me a sense of your thinking and your feelings after this case.
I'm very elated that we're getting more coverage. Riley died over 5 years ago, and there was really a time where it felt more hopeless and helpless than it does right now. This feels like a step in the right direction. More families are hearing about this. There's no more saying that this was bad parenting or we weren't paying attention or monitoring what was happening to our children, because in every sextortion case, these parents were very present. In Riley's case, we were honest about his age, and he was still exploited through Meta's Messenger platform. So there's a lot of work to be done still, but very glad overall that this is getting the press.
Well, I mean, hopefully there is some comfort for you, if not perfect closure, in the outcome of the case today. And as you say, your late son, Riley, he was a victim of sextortion. Can you just tell us a bit about what he went through?
Sure. Riley was almost 16 when he asked to download the Facebook platform. He really wasn't an avid social media user. This was 2021. He only wanted the Meta platform so that he could use the Marketplace app to spend his money he was making from dishwashing to buy a dirt bike or a snowmobile. It was the cusp of winter, spring when Riley died. He had big plans for his life, and an extortionist from the Ivory Coast who was only 4 days over his 18th birthday murdered my almost 16-year-old in a 5-hour encounter, and my child died by suicide, stricken with shame and fear and guilt. That was nothing that any child should ever have to feel, and nothing that any parent should have to continue to go through. Riley is pretty much the second sextortion case like his in the United States, and I've been speaking up about this, and still we're now into the 50s and 60s in number of boys dead by suicide after a pretty short encounter with an extortionist. Wow. And those things are just unforgivable and preventable.
Well, again, Mary, sorry for your loss and for what you went through. You may have just heard I was speaking to another mother of a lost child just a moment ago, and Laurie's hope was that this case may lead to some improvement, something better in the future. Would you call? I'm not sure you'd call that optimism. It is certainly some kind of hope. Do you share that hope?
Absolutely. I think ultimately we won't rest until it's a safe place for kids, until there's real product accountability, a duty of care like every other industry. So I think these are building blocks in that direction. This is more evidence that our congressional representatives in Congress have a lot of work to do to keep kids safe, and that they've really dropped the ball up until now. So I do believe that we will have a safe experience for children, or, I'll die fighting that for that.
Mary Rodie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Now, a reminder that Meta denies allegations of being at fault here. If you have been affected by these issues, do please email feedback at times.radio. That's feedback at times.radio.